This is Media Philosophy, exploring the deeper side of my complicated feelings for Donald Trump, because it's so easy just to completely just say, Donald Trump bad, everything he does is bad, I hate him, he's terrible, and just let him control your life. But the fact that he can elicit such strong responses from so many people really show his power. And I guess just coming from someone who's just so, meek and quiet, I don't have like any enemies, I would say. A part of me is like fascinated by him. He's like a wild animal that disgusts me, that fascinates me. I want to learn more from him. I want to be more like him. I don't want to be like him at all. I mean, he is president of the United States, whether people like it or not, and you can't just become president of the United States without sort of embodying a certain facet of America. I would say that the president of the United States sort of is like an average maybe of all the people who are voting. So clearly there is something that resonates with people with Donald Trump. And again, they say hate and love are two sides of the same coin, because if you don't care about anybody at all, you're not going to give them the time of day. You're not going to think about them. But again, I mean, you just the way people talk about Donald Trump all the time, just freak out over everything that he does, is just so interesting. And part of that freak out, I feel, only fuels his base's love for him. It seems like everything he does, whether it's true, whether it's false, just is this big media story. And because you just get pummeled with all of these stories, like I said, some true, some not as true. For example, like on his first term, there was this story about removing the Abraham Lincoln bust or something, when it was just moved for cleaning or things like that. And it's just, even now, more recently, there was this photo of the Pope's funeral where if you crop it to just the front couple rows, Donald Trump is the only one not wearing is the only one wearing a blue suit. Everyone else is wearing black for mourning. But then if you actually take a more bird's eye view of the whole venue, you see a lot of men are wearing blue suits. And I just think that is the perfect picture that sort of sums up everything. That, there's a lot to be upset with Donald Trump. This is not a video of me trying to sane wash everything that Donald Trump does. This is more a video just taking a step back. And I don't know if the word is admiring. I think the word is admiring. It's sort of like the way you can admire a natural disaster, while a tornado, a monsoon, whatever, is a destructive force, you can't help but just sit back in awe at this powerful force of nature that nothing can stop, no amount of preparation. It's gonna come barreling through one way or the other, and that's Donald Trump. And again, coming from somebody who I would say is a little bit more meek and weaker, it's just, if I could have, there's something about his, I don't know if it's detachment from reality that's almost admirable. It doesn't matter what the experts say, it doesn't matter what the country says, it doesn't matter what global leaders say. He sticks to his guns one way or the other. And it's, to have that sort of self-confidence, I guess, could be, a pro and a con. But, when you hear him speak, Donald Trump believes everything Donald Trump says. Whether it's insane or not, he speaks it with such conviction that you can't help but to also kind of get on board. He speaks it with such passion that even if it is insane and true, people are just nodding along and saying yeah, okay, that's not, I agree. And, if you haven't watched any of his rallies, you really don't need to go too in-depth with it. But, I mean, they are an event. I mean, it's an insane sort of a show that he puts on. And you can't blame people for just gravitating towards this, when other people are just giving dry speeches, talking like this. Oh, here's our PowerPoint on the numbers. And then you got Donald Trump coming out just being like, we're gonna kill all the illegals in this country. We're gonna send them out of this country. We're gonna do this or that. We're gonna bring jobs back to America. It's like so loud and so forceful that you're like blasted. Like, is this the truth? I don't even know. And I don't think that's what I really admire about him, because there are some things that I do admire about him. And I think that if you are a Donald Trump hater and you're not at least looking at all the qualities that are, I guess, positive, I don't know what the word is, the qualities that, I guess, you know, draw people to you, you know, you're doing yourself a disservice, you're shooting yourself in the foot. There's a reason why, for the last 12 years, he has been a dominating force in politics. And I mean, he doesn't give up. That's one of the things that I think I really do respect about him. He doesn't give up. When he, you know, loses the popular vote, when he loses the election, he doesn't just concede. He claims that it was a conspiracy against him, and whether that's insane or not, you know, you look at people, you know, like Kamala Harris, who just disappears right after the election. You know, she loses and she just goes away, and you know, you'll see people online be like, you know, what is she supposed to do? She lost. Well, Donald Trump lost in 2020. And he did not disappear at all. He stayed front and center. He was yelling. He was screaming. He was getting his base riled up. He was basically campaigning for president for 4 whole years. And by God, if it did not pay off. And it's that sort of grit and determination that I would say maybe some leaders on the Democratic Party could use, could emulate, you know? Where's everybody like screaming, trying to garner attention, even though they're out of power, you know? It's like they're just other people just roll over and just let what happens. Not Donald Trump. He will fight. He will make noise. And I guess again, it's something coming from somebody who's just so quiet, who's so passive. You know, I kind of wish I had a little bit of that, you know, bravado that Donald Trump does, even when he's wrong, because I feel like self-doubt, while it's one of the most probably important, doubt is important, especially when you're trying to make a very sound decision, you know, when you're trying to wonder, you know, like, you know, how should I save my money? What career should I go into? You know, should I make this big purchase? A little bit of doubt is going to help keep, you know, you a little leveled. It's going to make sure you don't go too crazy. It's going to make sure you're not YOLOing all your money into GameStop. It's going to make sure that you're not just, throwing a dart at some dartboard hoping to pick a career or something like that. So, you know, while it might be healthy to have a little bit of doubt, it stops you from having that power of the people. You know, if you have 2 people presenting an idea, you know, to move forward, and one person's like, I'm not really sure that this will work. We did the research, and it seems like there's about a 60% probability that this is a good idea. You know, people might be like, oh, that's not bad, okay. But then if you have the next guy being like, I have the greatest idea ever, that's no way it's gonna fail, we're gonna tariff every country to 1,000%, and everyone's gonna love us, and everyone's gonna be making deals with us. Whether it's true or not, just the fact that he believes in it so much is gonna get people on board. I mean, how many people just cower in fear after a scandal or after this or that, but not Donald Trump? Again, I'm not saying that he probably should not have, done a lot of the things that he's done. That's not what this is. This is more, again, just about me, just as someone who can't do what he's doing out of shame, out of guilt, out of self-doubt. It's just admiring to watch somebody completely ignore his critics, completely ignore the voices trying to shout him down, and just continue to push forward. I mean, it kind of reminds me a bit like, you know, like a Walt Disney sort of energy or something, you know? Someone who was probably told, you can't make animated cartoons, this is too expensive. He just did it anyways, and it succeeded. Now, is Donald Trump going to succeed? I don't know. But again, the fact that he just doesn't give up should give people hope. It should inspire you. I mean, how many people are out there just giving up in the world, saying that, the world's not worth it, you can't make any money in this life, that, I'm not qualified, I'm never going to own a home. They're defeating themselves before even trying. Where really, you should look at Donald Trump and be like, wow, if this guy is president without any, government experience, if he can go bankrupt 7 times, however many times he declared bankruptcy, if he can declare bankruptcy multiple times and still come out on top, maybe I should take a risk. Maybe I can make it too. So again, there is a lot to hate and be disgusted by Donald Trump. You can't fault anybody for hating the guy, but don't let that hate blind you to the qualities that can make you either a better leader, that can either increase your lot in life, or just, kind of take what you deserve. This is Media Philosophy, exploring the deeper side of entertainment.